Time is a cruel mistress. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 90s movies that haven't aged well. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at films that were either well-received or popular when they were released, but nowadays come across as dated. Some of these entries are still fun to watch, but they are definitely a product of their time. Number 10. Dragonheart. CGI has really come a long way since the mid-90s.
Thank you very much. It's been stuck down there for months.
Dragonheart stars Sean Connery as a fire-breathing dragon named Draco, who forms a partnership with Dennis Quaid's Bowen in order to take down the evil King Einon. Rob Cohen's action-adventure flick received average reviews upon release, but the visual effects were largely praised, and Roger Ebert gave it a 3 out of 4.
You will never win until Einon's evil is destroyed, and to do that, you must destroy me.
While it was great for the time, nowadays the CGI is about as believable as Sean Connery's Russian accent in The Hunt for Red October.
New Paruski.
Number 9. Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
Now this is pod racing.
This might be hard to believe, but The Phantom Menace received many positive reviews upon its release. For the time, the special effects were groundbreaking, and fans were just excited for more Star Wars.
When you learn to quiet your mind, you'll hear them speaking to you.
I don't understand.
With time and training, Annie, you will.
Sure, Jar Jar was generally hated and the script had problems, but the overwhelmingly negative view only set in a few years later, and has even softened some since.
Jar Jar, using the boomer!
He said don't have a boomer!
Here, take him this one.
But compared to the original trilogy, The Phantom Menace seems to have gotten worse with each viewing, especially once the initial hype subsided. By this point, The Phantom Menace's flat acting, terrible dialogue, and green screen are so infamous that not even nostalgia and Darth Maul can save Episode 1. Number 8. She's All That.
What about her? Rectal archaeology. Very nice.
Plot twists can make or break a movie. Unfortunately, She's All That's revelation that Rachel Lee Cook is actually attractive fell kind of flat.
So, Lanny, listen. I was wondering if maybe you'd want to...
Let's go, Simon.
Embarrass me horribly in front of all these people.
While hardly a critical darling, this My Fair Lady reimagining walked away with 8 awards, mostly thanks to its charming cast. She's All That centers around a silly bet to see whether Zach can turn the geekiest girl into the prom queen, and it ends with them becoming a couple. Apparently, girls should try their best to look like models and please their man. Yeah, no.
I feel just like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. You know, except for that whole hooker thing.
Number 7. The World Is Not Enough. GoldenEye inspired one of the best first-person shooters of the 90s, so it makes sense that the sequels played out more like video games than movies. Tomorrow Never Dies deserves credit for satirizing Rupert Murdoch, but Pierce Brosnan's Bond era focused too much on being hip and cool, which in turn made them feel dated. At release, The World Is Not Enough received mixed reviews, but a few unnecessary action sequences and a less than interesting plot dragged it down.
You wouldn't kill me. You'd miss me.
Yes.
Dive, Bond!
Also, is there anything more 90s than a nuclear scientist named Christmas Jones played by Denise Richards?
Dr. Jones. Christmas Jones. And don't make any jokes, I've heard them all.
Number 6. The Rocketeer.
How do I look?
Like a hood ornament.
Based on Dave Stevens' comic series of the same name, this pulpy superhero flick was largely greeted with a shrug when it hit the big screen, before earning a cult following.
Where's your stuntman now, Sinclair? I do my own stunts.
The Rocketeer follows the adventures of stunt pilot Cliff Secord, who finds a jetpack and ends up embroiled in a Nazi conspiracy. The movie's slow pace and slapstick nature make for a less than thrilling ride, but the flying scenes have aged the worst. What once served as the biggest reason to watch The Rocketeer is now only good for a laugh and a shake of the head.
What was that line again? Oh, my prince.
Would that you drink of my lips.
Thanks. I don't mind if I do.
Number 5. Flubber. Somehow, 1961's The Absent-Minded Professor holds up better than the much more recent remake. In the 90s, CGI was the buzzword of the cinematic world, with every major studio getting in on the action. Rather than the comedy or Robin Williams, Flubber's main selling point was the animated title character, and the film made a decent return at the box office.
I'll be right back.
Philip, are you hurt?
Just my pride.
Since then, special effects have improved greatly and become rather commonplace. So there's just nothing that exciting about watching dancing anthropomorphic snot-like bubbles.
Isn't it remarkable, Sarah?
What's remarkable, Philip?
Number 4, Hackers. Angsty teenagers, frantic typing, and Angelina Jolie. Hollywood really understands hacking.
Welcome to our show! Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Focusing a story on a trendy piece of technology tends to be a recipe for disaster, as significant innovations can happen quickly.
Crash override. What was it? Mess with the best, die like the rest.
Hackers is filled with smart-sounding technobabble and futuristic laptops that are honestly just laughable by today's standards.
All right, let's boot up.
The cool heroes, who belong on a runway and not behind a computer, feel more like parodies of the 90s than real people, as they fight the man while taking absolutely no responsibility for their actions.
Yo, kinda feel like God.
Number 3, Batman Forever. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy really did not do Joel Schumacher's films any favors.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
As the third film in the Burton-Schumacher Batman film series, and the first to be directed by Joel Schumacher, Batman Forever received a mediocre reception, with certain critics praising the special effects and the cast.
Surf's up, Big Kahuna!
Ooh, nice form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Schumacher's neon-coated Gotham has aged worse than Burton's, mostly due to how fake everything seems.
Holy rusted metal, Batman! Huh? You're grown, it's all metal, it's full of holes, you know? Holy!
Oh.
Val Kilmer was a good choice for Bruce Wayne, but his interpretation when compared to Keaton or Bale has very little of the nuance or psychological depth associated with the comic character. Batman Forever works best when viewed as a family film rather than a serious superhero movie.
I will help you solve the greatest riddle of all, the mother of all riddles. Who is Batman?
Number 2, The Net.
Hello.
Once in a while, a movie comes along that manages to simultaneously be right on the money and completely off base.
No harm done. Everything you've done will be wiped out by just escaping the system.
Really?
The Net is one of those movies. Released when the internet was just starting to become a thing, this Sandra Bullock vehicle reflects the paranoia about the lack of privacy associated with the digital age. While The Net's ideas are timeless, their presentation is about as realistic as an episode of Animaniacs. The filmmakers did not even come close to accurately predicting how the internet would look in the future, turning most of this serious thriller into an unintentional comedy.
My sympathies exactly, Angel. Let's have a date and procreate.
Man, when I was a kid, I loved Val Kilmer as Batman. Hot take, I know. And I loved Jim Carrey as the Riddler. You know what? I just loved Batman Forever. So yeah, I'm feeling a little personally attacked by this list. But don't worry guys, it's all in good fun. Like we said, we're just saying that these movies are a product of their time. But anyway, if you thought the rest of this list was bad, just wait until you see the beloved movie we've put at number 1. But first, here are some honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions.
Oh, save him.
Joe, come back with me.
Hurry!
And what a beautiful machine they have provided.
To slice a path of doom with my sweet breath to guide it.
I gotta go, Julia, we got cows.
Number 1, Space Jam. For those thinking about rewatching this Michael Jordan Looney Tunes mashup, do yourself a favor and leave the memories alone.
Let's see if I remember how to do this.
Despite being an obvious marketing ploy, Space Jam was inescapable, earning around $90 million at the US box office. Who didn't want to watch Bugs Bunny play basketball with Michael Jordan?
Whatever you do, don't forget my North Carolina shorts.
Your shorts? From college?
I wore them under my Chicago Bulls uniform every game. Hey, I washed them after every game. Sure. I did.
In hindsight, Space Jam has too much Jordan and not enough Looney Tune, with Jordan's acting skills being almost non-existent.
It's like I retired just in time.
By Warner Brothers' lofty standards, the humor is rather tame, and the less said about the plot, the better. We'll just have to wait and see what happens in the 2021 sequel with LeBron James, which is set to be released almost 25 years after the first. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.